Discipline is the difference between dreaming and doing. Everyone wants the reward, but few respect the process. Talent is everywhere. Motivation comes and goes. Emotion fades. Discipline stays. It shows up when you're tired. It shows up when nobody's watching. It shows up when excuses feel comfortable and quitting feels justified. Discipline doesn't ask how you feel. It asks what needs to be done. Discipline beats talent when motivation fades, because talent is unreliable without structure. Talent feels good when things are easy, when energy is high, when praise is loud, but discipline is what carries you when all of that disappears. Motivation is emotional. It rises and falls. Some days you wake up hungry, some days you don't. Discipline doesn't care about those swings. Discipline is built so that even on your worst day, the work still gets done. Talent makes people comfortable. It tricks them into thinking they're ahead. It whispers that they can skip today and make it up tomorrow. Discipline does the opposite. It keeps pressure on you. It reminds you that nothing is guaranteed, that yesterday's work doesn't count today, that being gifted doesn't excuse being lazy. Talent might open the door, but discipline is what keeps you in the room when expectations rise. When motivation fades, that's when reality shows up. That's when the early mornings feel heavier, when the reps feel longer, when the grind feels pointless. Most people quit there, not because they can't do it, but because they didn't train their discipline to carry them through boredom, pain, and doubt. They relied on feeling good instead of being committed. Discipline is trained just like skill. You don't wake up one day disciplined. You build it through repetition. You show up when you don't feel like it. You do the extra rep when your body wants to stop. You stay focused when distractions are louder than your goals. Every time you do that, discipline gets stronger and talent finally has something to stand on. Talent without discipline collapses under pressure. When the moment gets big, when expectations are high, when the margin for error is small, talent alone panics. Discipline stays calm. Discipline has already been there. It has already suffered in silence. It has already paid the price before anyone was watching. That's why disciplined people look composed when everything is on the line. Motivation loves applause. Discipline loves routine. Motivation needs inspiration. Discipline needs standards. Motivation asks, do I feel like it today? Discipline asks, what's the job? That difference decides careers, legacies, and lives. Because when motivation disappears, which it always does, discipline is the only thing left to lean on. There are people more gifted than you who won't outlast you if you're disciplined. There are people faster, stronger, smarter, but discipline slowly closes that gap. Every day you work when they rest, you gain ground. Every day you focus when they distract themselves, you separate. Discipline compounds quietly until one day the difference is obvious to everyone else. Discipline also protects you from yourself, from ego, from shortcuts, from believing your own hype. Talent can make you careless. Discipline keeps you sharp. It forces you to respect the process even when results come early. It forces you to keep refining even when you're winning. That's how dominance is sustained, not just achieved. When failure hits, talent looks for excuses. Discipline looks for lessons. Discipline doesn't waste losses. It studies them. It corrects mistakes. It adjusts and comes back sharper. That mindset is built long before failure shows up. It's built in the daily habits of review, honesty, and self-accountability. Discipline is also sacrifice. It's saying no to comfort, no to shortcuts, no to the version of you that wants things easy. Talent might give you options. Discipline chooses the hardest one because it knows that growth lives there. Discipline understands that suffering now is an investment, not a punishment. Over time, discipline turns effort into identity. You're no longer trying to work hard. You are the person who works hard. You're no longer chasing consistency. You live it. That's when performance becomes automatic. That's when preparation shows up under pressure without thinking. Motivation fades on bad days. Discipline carries you through. Motivation fades when results are slow. Discipline keeps you patient. Motivation fades when nobody is watching. Discipline doesn't need an audience. It knows the work still counts. Talent shines early, discipline lasts longer, and in the long run, the one who keeps showing up wins, not because they were the most gifted, but because they were the most committed, the most consistent, the most disciplined. Standards practiced daily decide who separates, because standards are the rules you live by when no one is watching. Everyone talks about wanting to be great, but very few define what great looks like on a random Tuesday when nothing exciting is happening. Standards are not what you do on your best days, they are what you refuse to drop on your worst days. That consistency is where separation begins. Most people lower their standards to match their mood. When they feel good, they work hard. When they feel tired, they make exceptions. When results come, they relax. High performers don't do that. Their standards stay the same regardless of emotion, outcome, or environment. They don't negotiate with themselves. They've already decided who they are, how they operate. Daily standards remove decision making. You don't wake up wondering whether you'll train, study, or prepare. The decision was made long ago. That saves energy. That builds focus. When standards are clear, actions follow automatically. This is why disciplined people look so consistent. They're not stronger mentally every day. They just don't allow themselves to drift. Separation doesn't happen in dramatic moments. It happens in repetition, in doing the basics at a high level every single day. Anyone can spike effort once in a while. Few can maintain excellence in the small details over time. Standards force attention to those details. How you warm up, how you finish, how you recover, how you respond after mistakes. Most people want flexibility. They want room to be average sometimes. High standards don't allow that. They demand precision even when it's inconvenient. That's uncomfortable, and that's why most people avoid it. Comfort feels good short term, but it slowly erodes your edge. Standards protect your edge by refusing to let comfort take over. Standards also expose truth. They show you exactly where you're falling short. There's no hiding, no blaming, no pretending. Either you met the standard or you didn't. That honesty is painful, but it's powerful. It forces growth. It forces accountability. It forces improvement. The difference between good and great is not knowledge. It's execution at a higher standard. Plenty of people know what to do. Very do it consistently. Standards close that gap. They turn intention into behavior. They turn goals into habits. They turn potential into performance. Daily standards build trust with yourself. Every time you meet them, you reinforce your identity. You prove that your word means something. That trust becomes confidence. Not loud confidence, but quiet certainty. You know you're prepared because you never let standards slip. Pressure reveals standards. In big moments, you don't rise to expectations. You fall to what you've practiced daily. If your standards are loose in practice, they'll collapse under pressure. If your standards are sharp every day, pressure feels familiar. Nothing feels bigger than what you've already demanded of yourself. Standards also create separation because they're personal. They're not about beating others. They're about beating your lowest version. They push you to compete with who you were yesterday. That mindset keeps you improving even when you're already ahead. Most people wait for external accountability. Coaches, deadlines, consequences. High standards make you self-governed. You don't need to be watched. You don't need reminders. You hold yourself to a level that most people wouldn't choose if given the option. Daily standards require discipline, but they also create freedom. When you know you've done the work, there's no anxiety, no second guessing, no regret. You can perform freely because preparation removes fear. Over time, these standards separate you so far that others start to notice. They call you consistent, they call you reliable, they call you different. But the truth is simple. You just refuse to lower the bar on ordinary days, and that refusal compounds into an extraordinary gap. Comfort creates average. Discipline creates legacy, because comfort asks for ease and discipline demands effort. Comfort tells you to slow down, to settle, to accept where you are. Discipline tells you to push, to refine, to chase what you could become. Comfort feels safe in the moment, but it quietly limits growth. Discipline feels painful in the moment, but it builds something that lasts beyond you. Average lives in comfort. It lives in routines that don't challenge, in habits that don't stretch, in decisions that protect feelings instead of potential. Comfort avoids discomfort at all costs. It avoids failure, criticism, and fatigue. But by avoiding those things, it also avoids progress. That's how average becomes normal, not because people lack ability, but because they choose comfort too often. Discipline is uncomfortable by nature. It asks for sacrifice when no one is forcing you. It asks for effort when rest would be easier. It asks for focus when distractions are everywhere. Discipline understands that growth is not comfortable. that improvement requires friction, that mastery demands suffering before success shows itself. Comfort wants immediate relief. Discipline wants long-term results. Comfort says, skip today, start tomorrow. Discipline says, start now, even if it's messy. Comfort negotiates. Discipline commits. That difference might seem small in a single moment, but over time it becomes massive. Legacy is built on repeated discipline. Not on one big performance, not on a viral moment, not on talent alone. Legacy is built by showing up the same way every day, holding the same standards, refusing to cut corners. That consistency creates trust. Trust creates respect. Respect creates impact that lasts. Comfort feels rewarding because it's familiar. Discipline feels lonely because it separates you from the crowd. Most people choose what feels normal. Discipline chooses what feels necessary. That choice often looks extreme to others. They don't see the vision, they only see the sacrifice. But legacy has always required isolation before recognition. Discipline also means embracing boredom. The work that builds legacy is rarely exciting, it's repetitive, it's demanding, it's quiet. Comfort avoids boredom by chasing stimulation. Discipline accepts boredom as part of mastery. It understands that greatness is built in the unglamorous moments, not the highlights. When pressure arrives, comfort has no answer. It collapses. Discipline holds. Discipline has already been tested. It has already suffered. It has already paid the price. That's why disciplined people look calm in chaos. They've lived in discomfort long enough that pressure feels normal. Comfort creates excuses. Discipline creates solutions. When things get hard, comfort asks who's to blame. Discipline asks what can be improved. That mindset shift changes everything. It keeps you moving forward instead of stuck explaining why you're not. Legacy is not about being remembered for talent. It's about being remembered for standards, work ethic, and impact. Plenty of talented people are forgotten because they never push beyond comfort. Discipline ensures that your best version shows up consistently, not occasionally. Comfort is addictive. The more you choose it, the harder it is to leave. Discipline is also addictive. The more you practice it, the stronger you become. At first, discipline feels heavy. Over time, it becomes identity. You stop forcing yourself. You simply live that way. Discipline builds something bigger than results. It builds example. It shows others what's possible. It raises the bar without saying a word. That's how legacy spreads, not through speeches, but through behavior repeated over years. In the end, comfort gives you moments of ease and a lifetime of regret. Discipline gives you moments of pain and a lifetime of meaning. One leads to average that fades quietly. The other builds a legacy that continues long after the work is done.